we are loyal to certain things, loyal to job, loyal to our own time, loyal to real estate, loyal to gold. That loyalty is killing us.
And how long into your corporate life did you decide that now it's time for me to start working on my financial freedom journey?
Actually, it started very late.
Okay.
When I was 39, it came around 5.5 crores.
How long did it take for you to achieve this number?
I said 50 A's, but believe me, I achieved in 48.
Wow. And what were the things that helped you do that faster than your actual plan?
Couple of things. One, once I got my financial freedom, the corpus was ready. I said, I'm out.
Yeah. What was that one financial decision that was very hard for you to undo?
Yeah, I played on futures and options in 2007. I lost all my ESOPs there.
Oh no.
So there is period. Any fall takes you 24 months to 30 months to recover. If you are able to sustain that 2.5 years of not touching that money, then you are done.
What was your and your family's relationship like with money? And how did you think about money while growing up?
My father was a professor, and whatever I have grown up, right, thanks to him for giving me a good education, we come from that poor family, agriculture oriented family, where I mean, my father used to tell me that they had issues, for a groceries also, monthly groceries, because when the salary wasn't coming, kind of thing. But of late, he has improved it, and he's the one who taught me with respect to how to go about, not depending on one income.
Yeah.
Right. So he's a sociology professor, and then best thing he has given me is education.
Yeah.
Right. That helped me to get into a government sponsored school. We call it as a Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas.
Okay.
That is where my education for 7 years was free, sponsored by the central government. It comes for a meritorious students of that district. Right. So there I taught the life.
Yeah.
Right. Right now also that 7 years of life has given me so much. Right. It's also giving me now. I have so much of friends from that community. And it started with humble beginning, no richness. We hardly had a time to go to our inclination to go to hotels. I think once in a year we used to go to one hotel. That was the only thing we had. That to a masala dosa. Right. So beyond that, we hardly had a money. So this is what we have grown. And then it started, got into engineering. Again, good one. Right. And then started my career in the 1999.
Okay. So you've truly had a journey where you started from scratch. Your family, in fact, started from scratch. So then let's talk about that. Can we talk about your professional journey so far? What was the first job like, the first salary like, and how did that progress over the years?
It took me 9 months searching in Bangalore to get a job. And then August 1999, I joined a company, good company, Oracle Financials, good package with 1.8 lakhs. It was a good breakthrough. And then I stayed there for almost 9 years, right? And then that company helped me to go to US, right? I was in US for almost 4 years and then to Singapore for 6 months. I think it went from 1.8 lakhs to US position was different, but gradually in India, we went to 4 lakhs and finally around 10, 11 lakhs we reached in the 9 years frame.
Okay.
Right? 9 years I worked for that company. 2007, I got into a different company called Nowhere. There I jumped into 14 lakhs.
Okay.
Right? And then 2008, I jumped into another company called Arcot R&D Software, where I got around 18 lakhs as a package and then moved on to it. 2011, right, I got into a company called Altisource, where it much senior position, got into 24 lakhs there.
Okay. So did you negotiate at any point of time for your salary?
Of course, I negotiated it, right? That is part of it. These are some of the learnings which I had it. When you ask, you get paid. If you don't ask, there is nothing like nobody will respect you. Right? Keep asking. If you are valued enough, they'll pay you. Otherwise, they'll say no. At least they'll say no to it. Right? But keep asking.
Yeah.
Right? That is important, which I will tell every 9 to 5 people to ask hikes.
Yeah.
Right? Show your value, ask for hikes. Right? Altisource was 24 lakhs. And then in that 5 years, I moved up to 35 lakhs.
Okay.
Right? Into that. And then I exited. I'm not exited. The layoff happened in Altisource, 35 lakhs. And then got into another company called Davinta Technologies. This is again a startup, very good niche area into the financial domain. Same 35 lakhs I got into it. And Davinta layoff also happened, moved into IBM for same 35 lakhs, right?
But a bigger company.
Bigger company.
Yeah.
So 3 years, no hikes, right? It happens in your career, it happens. Be ready for that, right? It's beyond your control. In IBM, got split into Kindle and everything. I moved to 48 lakhs there,
Okay.
right? Within 5 years, right? It was good jump. From 48 lakhs to 72 lakhs, my last company called Azentio, I worked there as a vice president there, 72 lakhs. And that was my last salary, which I drawn for a year, more than a year kind of thing. Once I got my financial freedom, the corpus was ready. I said 5 crores. I said, I'm out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what salary, what position I'm in. I want my time. I want to be with my kids. I want to attend all the functions. Whatever I want to do it on my own. I resigned and then came out.
So, I would always assume that if you went to the US, you must have seen a really crazy jump in your package. So, was that the case to you?
See, what happens is at that time, we were not talking about a package. We were on a per diem system,
Okay.
right? The local currency amount was paid and then expenditure was taken care of. It was a royal life, right? Because you have a house just side by the river in New York. Everything is taken care by the customers, that was there. But later we got converted into a salary base. Then, yes, as you said, salary was much higher because of the conversion,
Yeah.
right? Rupee conversion at that time was 32, 33 rupees, right, per dollar. We were able to save, right? That helped me to buy my real estate stuff.
Okay.
Right? So I bought a house, I bought a car, I bought some lands when I returned in 2004, 2005 times. So that's what helped me to create that wealth of real estate.
And how long into your corporate life did you decide that now it's time for me to start working on my financial freedom journey?
Actually, it started off late, very late,
Okay.
when I was 39.
That's when you started thinking about it.
39, I started thinking financial freedom has to be achieved. That also came not because of a struggle. It came because I was reading a book on financial freedom. So that's when I started the dream of financial freedom in 2015.
Okay. And what was that planning process like? What were the things that you took into account when planning for your financial freedom?
See, one thing was, a lot of people told me, Amaresh, take 25 times of your expenses and then calculate your financial freedom value, right? But that is, I thought it's a vague number,
Yeah.
right? But to achieve that, there has to be some meaning inside.
Yeah.
That's when went back, studied a lot of things. That's where the financial goal-based planning comes into picture,
Okay.
right? So when I arrive at some number, there is a meaning behind it, right? What is freedom? I need not to worry about money, right? When is that doesn't comes? It comes when the kids' expenses are taken care, their higher education, their marriage is taken care, my own life expenses are taken care till the age of 90 and debt free.
Yeah.
These are the minimum aspects. After that, you have got a luxury like a big car, big house, foreign tours and everything. If you put all that together, there is a number which comes up.
Yeah.
For me, it came around 5.5 crores.
Okay.
Right, around 5, take it as a 5 round. That is where it came with a sum of all these goals.
And was this inflation adjusted number or was that back then?
Back then was small money.
Okay.
I put the inflation, education inflation of 10%,
Okay.
and the living expenses inflation of 6%, and extrapolated. That's where it came around 5 crore.
Okay. Okay. And how long did it take for you to achieve this number?
My plan was 10 years. I said 50 years, I want to gift myself the financial freedom. It was a moonshot at that moment, right? So, but believe me, I achieved in 48,
2 years earlier.
2 years earlier.
Wow. And what were the things that helped you do that faster than your actual plan?
Couple of things. One, having that goal itself helped me,
Hmm.
right? Because I am very out of my mind is free to run for that goal. It's like 100-meter run,
Yeah.
right? Though we call it as a marathon, but you are focused running for it, right? That is one. Second one, understanding and increasing my income via soft factors,
Okay.
right? Saying that, my salary can grow this much. Don't stick to it. Have that, we call it as, psychological change, right? Focus on that money aspect, focus on that skill. I upgraded my skill so that I increase my position such a high that my income is helps me to invest. Right? Initially, when I started, as per the plan, I was supposed to make 2 lakh investment per month in 2016. Jan 2016 was my start of the plan, right? New Year resolution, right? Achieve financial freedom. 2 lakh was the amount which I had to invest, but I was hardly making 50,000, right? Because though I had a salary of around 24 lakhs, right? 24, 25 lakhs, but EMI was there, monthly expenses were there, everything was there, right? But I was able to make 50,000. 1/4 of my ask, I was able to invest. That is when I thought, look for increasing your income. Right? My mentors helped me saying that, Amaresh, there is a limitation to save, a budgeting. You can't go below certain thing.
Yeah.
You have to eat 3 meals, you have to do travel, you have to do, eat outside.
You have to live a life.
You have to live a life,
True.
right? YOLO, right? Huh? Right?
Yeah.
You're YOLO, right?
Yeah.
That is when I thought, they said, Amaresh, there is unlimited aspect is income. But for that, you have to work.
Yeah.
You have to change your skills. And the engineering mind comes into picture there.
Yeah.
Right? Where you go and learn many things and then increase the skills. That is what I did it 2016, 17, 18. And then good breakthrough I got in 2019. A company where I was working, IBM and Kindle, split happened. They gave me a retention bonus.
Okay.
Which is almost 60-70% of my CTC.
Wow.
So that is what they gave me. I used those bonuses to invest. Monthly was going up, and then those bonuses, salary was going up. One point of time, I was making 1.5 lakhs investment. I'm talking about 2019. But I realized it's not going to work.
Yeah. So, what does your net worth look like today? And more importantly, what does your asset allocation look like, especially when you don't have an active income?
So I have distributed kind of this, right? So maybe I'll focus more on financial assets. Real assets are something different, right? The financial assets, if I look at it, 100% of financial assets, 70% is in equity.
Okay.
People say it's very aggressive. I'm saying, what is the concept of aggressive? You need a money. You put into these things. If you're in a long term, equity are better. Right?
Fair.
I'm not into Bitcoin or I'm not into other things, but equity are fantastic for me.
Okay.
I understand equity, that mutual fund way, I work on that. Right? In fact, I have taken a service of others to help that to me.
Okay.
Right? That pulse. 20% is in gold, right? And 3% is in cash. 11% is in ULIPs. I was also victim of certain things.
No.
ULIPs and I call them FDs, right? I was also victim of certain things. Yes, I'm part of that. So this is how my financial assets are registered. And my real estate assets are almost double of the same, like 6 crores a year and 5.5 crores in financial assets. So real estate assets are there.
Okay. So, if we were to give one view of your entire portfolio so far, inclusive of your real estate, we can roughly say that your net worth is close to the 11 crore mark. If somebody starts planning their financial freedom journey today, what should be a formula or a framework that they should keep in mind?
First thing is you need to identify what is that your motto, because you'll come across many problems while achieving it, right? In the form of layoff, in the form of medical emergency, in the form of, you don't want to work, a lot of things, right? Persons who are who has that dream, then they can start looking for following aspects.
Okay.
One, identify those elements which requires a money. What I'm saying is a goals, right? Some of the goals is list down all of those goals. Children education, your own marriage, or you're talking about your own big house. You're talking about retirement expenses, buying your own, in terms of car, right? Or some luxury elements. All those things, we call it as obligatory goals versus a luxury goals. You put all that list and work with experts to identify what it costs. For example, if you want to get your children for a higher education of engineering, it will cost you as of today 20 lakhs.
Yeah.
Right? And the age of a kid is 10 years. and after 8 years the kid will get into engineering. So 20 lakhs now, after 8 years it will be almost 40 lakhs because 10% inflation is there to increase it kind of thing, right? So you calculate that. So your target is not 20 lakhs, your target is 40 lakhs. Similarly, do it for other goals and retirement expenses. Most of the financial freedom value is your retired expenses, monthly expense that will run into crores. Assume that your current monthly expenses, including your own groceries, maid, maintenance, bills, right, in terms of premium insurance payouts, and then your yearly one travel and everything inclusive is around 50,000 or 1 lakh per month as of today. And if you want to achieve financial freedom next 10 years or next 15 years, that 1 lakh, considering a 6% inflation, would be almost 2.5 lakhs after 15 years. And you should target that 2.5 lakhs into 30 years, whatever 12 months, plus 6% of inflation, that will run into crores.
Right.
Initially, once you sum up all these values of a future value, it will be a big, huge lump sum which you do it. It will be really a moonshot you are thinking of it. But believe me, once you are consistently executing it, here the planning is easy, right? What stands between your dream and the reality of achieving is execution. I would say 95% of your work lies in execution, right? When you're doing the execution, you'll be coming up with lot of obstacles. The moment you stop, in terms of investments or following those SIPs or following any of these aspects, then what happens is you get hit in a power of compounding.
Right. So essentially, list down your goals, specify a number that is inflation adjusted, and then focus on the execution.
Execution.
How did your SIP journey also evolve over time? When your salary was 1.8 lakhs, like you said, that till then 24 lakhs, and then over the years, how did the amount that you put into the markets change over the years?
See, earlier when we were doing 1.8 lakhs, we weren't investing in market.
Yeah.
We didn't know, right? We were taught real estate, gold, and YOLO, right? I bought a bike within a year of my job, and then I was riding all over, right? So that is what it. My real investment started once I returned from US. Equity investment I started, and real estate, which we did it. But if you ask me, some 3,000, 5,000 I was investing in 2005.
Okay.
SIP was there, right? And then increased it to 10,000, 15,000 kind of thing, right? So, but urgency was there, right? You have that feeling, money is not growing at all. But the power of compounding comes later. We didn't understand at that moment,
Yeah.
right? We liquidated that, put it in a real estate, right? So took a loan, put it in a real estate. The second big house in my native house. If you come to my native house, I'll show you. It's a big house in jungle also, right? So we reinvested into it, right? So it means my real estate investments are happening there.
Okay. So early on, you instead of investing into equity, you put that into real estate.
Real estate,
Okay.
right? Bought a land, bought a house. In fact, had a loans of 50 lakhs in 2012. I took a loan of big loans of 50 lakhs to build a 4 BHK villa in my hometown,
Okay.
right? So all those things we did it, right? So if you ask me in 2000, when I started my journey of financial freedom, my equity investments were, were like 5 lakhs kind of thing.
Okay.
Not much,
Okay.
right? And my net worth was, with respect to equity or anything, if I look at it, was negative because I had a loan of minus 50,
Yeah.
right? But actually I started from zero from 2016 Jan on the equity based investments full, and then that you can do it, right? You can do it if you are focused onto it. Equity and mutual funds, if you're working on it, you can do it. First month investment was 50,000, right? And that investment started, but end of that month, I just wanted to let you know that layoff happened.
Okay. And then what happens after you're laid off? And I think by that time you were married and you had dependents.
I had kids, 2 kids, right? 2016 was the Jan layoff happened,
Okay.
right? It was tough,
I'm
right?
sure. Yeah.
But what helped me was the remuneration which they gave me That was the other side. But psychologically, you are out of
It
job.
hits you.
Yes, right? But one thing I don't know somehow, since I had a good amount of layoff amount which came out, which we call it as a pink slip kind of thing, that helped me to continue the investments. I did not stop the investments,
Okay.
right? Upgraded my skills, and I think it took me around 3 or 4 months to get another job,
Okay.
right? 50,000 continued, landed another job for the same amount of salary because your bargaining power is evaporated.
Yeah.
Right? Once that is done, got into that company, started working and then doing a lot of good things and working hard, right? Making things, but things are different. You get tested again and again,
Yeah.
right? Again, next 2017, I got laid off from that company consecutively within a year, right? Because see, it's beyond your capabilities, right? Beyond your control. There is some decision happened at the board level that we don't want to continue in this type of business, and then the entire team was sent out, right? Don't feel bad about it that you are being laid off. Then 2017 layoff happened. That was a pretty bad hitting because psychologically you get affected.
Yeah.
I took a time and then found out a new job. I was very clear that I want to go for a bigger companies with they don't want to work for startups because
They're very volatile.
volatile in nature, no complaints. But I went for bigger companies, took time, though I had few offers. Some offers came half the salary because your bargaining power is gone, right? That is when I said skills are important, improve that. Got into a bigger company called IBM, and the life was changed after that.
Right. And one of the things I was thinking of, now that you don't have an active income, how are you making sure that all of your basic expenses are easily paid off? So do you have any passive income streams in place?
See, what happened was it was part of a plan,
Okay.
right? One of the intelligent mentor told me that, Amaresh, now that your financial freedom journey is set, and then you have a confidence that you're going to achieve the financial freedom by December 2025, start thinking what are you going to do after that, right?
Okay.
That is one. Second aspect is you should have some regular income which will help you to sustain for entire life.
Right.
So my journey itself, I decided dividend income I'm going to get it.
Okay.
So those equities which get into a dividend paying income which you put it, so that gives me some 3 lakhs a year.
Okay.
Right? And then I have a SWP, systematic withdrawal plans, something it keeps varying it out. Some 3-4 lakhs I'll take it out from there.
Okay.
I have a rental income of a house which takes care of my rent and everything, right? The fourth one which I started, I always tell this, and a new word which I talk about is a passion based income.
Okay.
Right? My passion is a side hustle which started, which helps the people to create a wealth. I love this creating wealth and I help others to do it.
Okay.
That income started flowing now, right? So my monthly expense of 1.5 lakhs is fully covered from that.
Okay.
So now I don't have to touch that original corpus which I have built it for my retirement, everything. So monthly expenses are fully taken care by passive income, passion income.
Passion income. Are you ever scared about this corpus? What if, and especially because you're aggressively invested in equity, are you ever scared that a bad market downturn would be a really big hit to your corpus? Is that ever a fear?
Yeah, I've gone through that. COVID hit. My portfolio went down almost 50%. Right? Market fell by 30%, but the kind of aggressive stocks we were in, it went down by 50%. 2020, we were like, I was pathetically saying that, will I achieve it or not?
Oh no.
So never depend on one income. Right? 2020, I felt bad. And last 24 months, right? The markets are which are going. And it hasn't gone up or gone down, right? It's staying in the same position, right? Yes, I felt that. But knowing a 2008 fall, which I have seen, or a COVID fall, which I have seen, the recovery which has happened, so there is a period of which I have seen historically, we can tell, right? You don't know the future. Any fall takes you 24 months to 30 months to recover. If you are able to sustain that 30 months, 2.5 years of not touching that money for your goals, then you are done. So it means I have to keep an emergency backup of 24 to 30 months
Hmm.
and I don't have to worry about market at all. So now with any fall, I don't worry about it. I have kept 36 months for my goals to be met and it takes care of it. So I'm not worried on to my market falls now.
Okay. So now I have some fun set of questions and it's a rapid fire format. I'll ask you and then you have to answer immediately, right? What was that one financial decision
Hmm.
that was very hard for you to undo? Like it made you struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I played on futures and options in 2007.
Okay.
I lost all my ESOPs there.
Oh no.
That was like almost worth of 5 lakhs at that time,
Hmm.
right? Initially we made it 1 lakh, 2 lakhs.
That made you happy and then you put more money in?
Oh boy, same thing, right? It gets sucked into it,
Yeah.
right? By just putting a 10,000, I think,
Hmm.
right? So I'll tell you that company is no longer there, but I put on that company on futures. Options was are also not there. Futures I put it, I made 10,000 went to 1.5 lakhs.
And then
And then I used all my ESOPs money. I said ESOP money is anyway not growing. Let me encash it and then use it. All 5 lakhs gone.
do you think that you will ever go back to futures and options
No,
ever again?
no.
Never?
In fact, I tried after that in
Okay.
2011 and 2014 also. Unsuccessful. I said my mentality is not for that, and then I
Maybe
stopped
it's
it.
not for you.
Not for me.
Okay. An asset class you believe is currently overhyped.
Metals.
And why is that?
Because any asset class which grows faster, this is applicable to every asset class, right?
Okay.
In say doubling in 12 months or 18 months, then it's overhyped. It applies to real estate, it applies to equity, then it's better to exit.
And one piece of financial advice that somebody gave you that has stayed with you for life.
Simple thing, right? Increase your income.
Yeah.
Increase your income, that stayed with me for long, right? And then if you just keep eating what you have, the things and it will not be sufficient for your entire life. Increase your income irrespective of anything.
Yeah. And would that be the advice that you would give to the audience as well?
Yeah, audience, I would say keep increasing your income, and you cannot directly increase the income. It's a byproduct of your skill.
Yeah.
Second thing is there is no rich or wealthy overnight. Income comes fast, goes fast. Income comes late, stays with you for longer, right?
Yeah.
That is one. And futures and options is not a good thing to play, right? SEBI statistics also will tell you that 93% failed and then only 1% made a money. So you
But
don't
I think everyone thinks that I am that 1% who's going to
That's
succeed.
1% is institutions, not individuals.
Okay.
The guy who has lost for last 10 years made a crore now,
Hmm.
but institutions are making big money.
Most people will be watching this podcast will probably be middle class salaried people. Do you think that there are certain traps that they're falling into that is keeping them away from financial security?
As a middle class, I am also middle class, probably going up now, but we don't dream big, right? We are following the same formula of study, work, retire, and that's what my life. You should take a risks, right? Don't just do a real estate FD or gold kind of thing. Spend, learn, because a lot of good world is outside to teach you also, right? In terms of internet, you can learn a lot of things. This is one. Second aspect which I always tell the people is you end up in doing on your own. Do it yourself. Have you seen a wealthy guy doing himself?
Never.
They take a they take help of experts. Of course, they test the expertise of that person. They don't just blindly follow it the way the middle class we follow it. The wealthy guy understands that guy and then fully trust that one. Take the help of that mentor and builds the wealth, right? And then the third aspect is we love to be single job, right? We are loyal to certain things, loyal to job, loyal to our own time, loyal to real estate, loyal to gold. That loyalty is killing us.
Yeah.
Right? We have to take a risk and then go beyond that.
And as we are approaching financial freedom, over the years, let's say, for example, that I have decided that in the next 20 years, I want to achieve financial freedom. How should my asset allocation change over that 20-year span?
See, first thing you need to take a stock of what is your current asset allocation, right? The dream asset allocation should be like this: 40% into real estate, 40% into equity and related things, remaining 20% into gold plus FD plus cash.
Okay.
Right? If you divide your assets into these three categories, now see current situation. Probably most of them who wants to start, real estate would be 80%.
Yeah.
Right? Rest of them would be 20%. Right? But you should shift towards the, making sure that it's a 40% of your net worth. I'm not trying to sell, asking you to sell that. But what I'm saying is invest more on the other side.
Other side. Rebalance it.
Rebalance it.
Understood. I just thought of a question outside of your real estate, because I'm sure that is the most expensive thing. But other than real estate, what's the most expensive thing that you've purchased recently?
The costliest asset which I bought recently is a car. I spent around 22 lakhs. Right? You need to spend. Right? But you should understand vis-a-vis with your net worth. Is it like 5% of your net worth, 1% of your net worth? Any costliest items you buy it should be less than 5% of your assets.
Okay.
Right? Depreciating assets. Appreciating assets is a different thing because it's appreciating. It doesn't bother you much. Depreciating assets should not be more than 5% of your assets, because anything happens to that, you will not feel pinch of that in your journey. At the end of it, it's a peaceful life.
Yeah. So now that you're financially free, what are you up to right now?
Couple of things, right? This is what I'll tell. Financial free doesn't mean you stop working, right? You do what is financial free is you do what you want to do it. You are owning up a time, right? Now, the luxury now is your own time.
Exactly.
Right? BMW bhi nahi hai, big car is also not there. It's all your time, right? I own time. I am not keeping what. I am more busy now than what I was working earlier.
Okay.
But no stress.
No stress.
Couple of things I started. I started teaching about wealth management to the people. I talked about these things. It's keeping me busy all the line, right? And then I work with my children to to help them in terms of their studies, right? And then I work with my spouse, wife, whatever the cooking happens and everything. Our factory begins morning 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So there is nothing like I'm sleeping or anything. 5 o'clock it begins and ends at 9 o'clock. I'm happy about it.
So you're living the perfect home life where you have complete control of your time.
Perfect, 100%.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming on to the show. I had such a great time, and you have a truly inspirational journey. And I really hope the audience takes away so many lessons from you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting. I'm glad that it's helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? Wishing all of them for the financial freedom.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Investment in the securities market is subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.